Hey there, welcome to episode 107. That's 107 episodes of Cafe Genius Impresarios. I'm your host, Dan Hugo. We're recording this at 4:15 p.m. on Friday, March 14th, 2025. One of these days I will move back to pre-noon recording. One of these days. Today's episode, The Economy of Fun, which is itself not a trademarked term. Not a trademark. No trademark held for economy of fun. Not from what I've found so far. That could be wrong. The Cafe Genius Impresarios audio program, if you've never heard it before, is named for three things. Cafe Centro, spelled with two F's, just like Cafe Genius, which is where startups start in San Francisco, the San Francisco Bay Area, but San Francisco proper. It used to be, unfortunately, located in the South Park, very near what is now the Oracle ballpark. It used to be the AT&T ballpark. Everything's changing. The Cafe Centro, where startups start, was where, for example, Twitter got started. When Jack Dorsey was hacking away on his laptop, for better or worse. But I had been to Cafe Centro a few times. The South Park, 2 words, South Park, was literally a park with park benches and grass and everything. And it was a pleasant place to hang out and talk about startup ideas, which I did. So I often say that Greater Vegas needs at least one Cafe Centro. And we do have many coffee shops. Probably the closest to what Cafe Centro was physically, you might find at the Mothership coffee shop in Ferguson's, downtown Vegas. Close. Reasonably close, but yeah, I mean, that's probably the closest as far as grass and being outside and outdoor seating, etc. The Genius Lunch was something that we used to do during the Downtown Project days. Now, I was not a part of Downtown Project. I was a spectator. I was working at Intel at the time, so I'd travel quite a bit. Every once in a while, a little lunch gathering of various people working on various things to see who's working on what, who's doing what, etc. And finally, impresarios. These are people making things happen. These are entrepreneurs. These are innovators. You put those three terms together, Cafe Genius Impresarios, ideally an audio program with other people in conversation with me, talking about their startups, their endeavors, aspirational, nascent, or launched. So one of these days we'll get there. In the meantime, today's episode, The Economy of Fun, is all about the economy of fun. Hopefully, wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the description, which contains the show notes, a summary that I will read, and the links for today's episode. There are 2, plus the 2 shameless self-promotion links for your host. That's me. So let's get this started. Summary. At long last, the trademark has been granted. The website updated. The Office of Economic Development at UNLV is all in on the economy of fun. This is not the actual trademark name. I don't want to make anybody upset. We can mark the occasion and ponder what comes next for Greater Vegas and the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem. I'm not going to trademark that. I do use it all the time. Entrepreneurial innovation. You'll hear entrepreneurial ecosystem often, but entrepreneurial innovation, 2 great tastes that go great together. Today's links. First 2, the usual buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo and Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/DanHugo. Technically ko-fi.com/DanHugo. The hyphen is located next to the 0 key on most keyboards, but we call it a dash. Technically, I think it's a hyphen. Anyway, neither of these require, nor do I require, that you spend any money. You can if you like. There's a profile page at buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo that contains links to all of my audio programs, links to all of my GitHub projects, links to some coffee beans that I purchase regularly, and 2 affiliate links, I think, and a very, very top of the page, right before some of the biographical information on there, a link to the posts section where you will find the buymeacoffee.com exclusive Buy Me an Update, published on Mondays by me, hosted exclusively there on buymeacoffee.com. 5 minutes or less, 5 minutes or shorter, 5 minutes maximum length. Usually they're closer to 4.5 or 4.5-ish. What what the topics were for the previous week's audio programs and then whatever's coming up next. That's a nice way to make announcements that are not tied to a particular episode of a particular show. So a separate announcement channel of sorts. Ko-fi.com does not support self-hosting of, or hosting of. They do not self-host audio programs. You can link to other audio or video on other websites. Strangely, not on buymeacoffee.com the last time I checked. So I use Ko-fi.com for textual updates. Check out either or both. I've been using these platforms for years. I really would not break any banks from the occasional, and I do mean very occasional, tip jar tips that have come in through there. But mostly it's just a way to engage you. And that's how most people use these sites, open source projects, content creators, etc. So there you go. The status page, this is actually a search result page. So I might be able to do the case number, but hey, now you know where the trademark search page is for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, USPTO. So if you go to this link, you will land on the full status page for Fun Economy, which is the actual trademark term. It's 2 words, Fun Economy, and there you go. It was granted to the UNLV Office of Economic Development on 18 February. I can't remember. I think it was 18. It was either 13 or 18. It was 18, February 18th. So let me see. I'm going to see if I can get rid of all this stuff. Just the case number. Does that work? Oh, that'd be nuts. That'd be nicer. Okay, let me make sure it works here. No, that's annoying. Okay, so I'm going to leave all the parameters. So the URL looks kind of ugly. It has case search type and case type and search type parameters also in addition to the case number, and the URL format is weird. It's not queer. Anyway, the figures. The USPTO status page for Fun Economy, the trademark was granted February 18th. So congratulations. We'll talk more about that shortly. The Fun Economy, I did not put the trademark symbol. Maybe I should put the trademarks. Let me add the trademark symbol there because I certainly don't want to, I don't want to offend anyone by not using their newly granted trademark. So Fun Economy TM. There we go. Beautiful. That's a link to the unlv.edu website, the Office of Economic Development, econdev/fun-economy. Strangely, they do not put the trademark symbol in the URL. They could. They do use the trademark symbol on every occurrence of the words Fun Economy on the page. Anyone who's ever done any copy editing or publishing of anything pretty much knows that you really only need to put it there once. The one more prominent or first occurrence, perhaps, there is no need to overuse the trademark, nor copyright, nor registered trademark. Circle R. You don't need to use those on every word on a page. You can just use it once. But they're very excited, and so are we, that they have received their trademark. So now on with the show. The trademark has been granted. Like I said, I touched on the Fun Economy. Oh, I should put the trademark there too, but I don't publish this part. I touched on the Fun Economy in last week's episode, but this week we can actually highlight and celebrate this monumental achievement. The Office of Economic Development, in pursuit of economic diversity for the Southern Nevada region, the Southern Nevada economy, I guess, is all in on the economy of fun. There's no question now. They've spent the time and money. They've received their reward for patience. They're up and running. It will be interesting to see if Hollywood 2.0 or the next Silicon Valley are also pending trademarks. I don't know that those would be trademarkable. I don't know if they could be trademarked. Let us be honest, though, if the greater Vegas area has some aspect of its economy that could and maybe should be trademarked, the fun part probably is it. The econdev part of UNLV's website had been updated with the new TM symbol on every occurrence of the precious term, and this is, of course, unnecessary. Only the first or most prominent occurrence needs the mark. But hey, they're excited, and so should we be. They're on the page, though. Yes, I know, I mentioned this twice because it's important. No, but they're on the page. More interesting and more relevant. They define the fun economy, the economy of fun, as global tourism plus sports plus entertainment. Though in previous descriptions, and the one that makes more sense when you think about it, and for all time and moving forward, include gaming and conventions. At some point, I think I talked about this. There's a discussion, an article written that gaming, and mostly gambling, mostly 21 plus gaming is not the same as sports, professional sports usually, because while there is gambling involved with professional sports, there is also the fan element. So you don't need to wager on sports to enjoy them or to spend money on them. You rarely have to spend money on tickets to go to, well, once you're here in Vegas, to go into a casino and watch people gamble. But you usually need to purchase a ticket to attend a sporting event. So it's a different element of the economy. Sports and gaming, separate. Entertainment, yes. Global tourism, yes. But then gaming, separate. And conventions, which are arguably not as fun, but it depends on which convention you go to. Conventions are a substantial draw. A lot of people come to Vegas for conventions. At any given time, there's probably a convention going on of some kind of different sizes. They're not all CES, but they're not all just one person sitting in a coffee shop. So conventions and gaming, definitely a part of the economy of fun, if not officially a part of the trademarked fun economy, depending on whether you believe their website or not. But anyone who uses the TM symbol that often maybe shouldn't be trusted. The next, Silicon Valley. Let's touch on this briefly. There is no secret here. If you are a first-time listener, I will repeat myself so everybody else, give me a few seconds here. Vegas is not the next Silicon Valley. It should instead focus on being better Vegas. I use the term Greater Vegas often, as do many people. But in my mind, this is not only about the geographical Vegas region. So some people will say Greater Vegas because if you're in Henderson or if you're in Mesquite or even if you're in North Las Vegas, Greater Vegas kind of encompasses the whole Southern Nevada region. Clark County, I believe, might still be deliberating on this, although I don't know if they tabled it or put it off, or if it's done. Put it off, tabled it, same thing. They were considering renaming Clark County to Las Vegas County or Vegas County. And that way you're always in Las Vegas. The Welcome to Las Vegas sign, famously not in Las Vegas. Not even actually close. It's about 12 miles south of the Las Vegas border, city of Las Vegas border. So Greater Vegas, not only the geographical area, but also an indication that this area can be more than what it is today, a better version of itself, rather than pondering a conversion into something else. Why try to be this next Silicon Valley or even Hollywood 2.0, which we'll talk about next? Just be better Vegas. I know it's crazy, but think about it. I personally lean more heavily into the innovation destination concept, where the economy of fun is leveraged to make Greater Vegas a place for innovators, or maybe just people that work at companies that are spread around, to visit for purposes of collaboration and co-creation. With some workforces located in different geographical places, whether working from home or otherwise, and for example, when I worked at Intel, there were 100,000 people working for Intel worldwide. Several were located in Oregon, several in Silicon Valley, some in San Diego, several in France, several in Ireland, and so on, and one right here in Vegas. So now I think there's none. So bringing all the people together, where can you bring? Well, Intel has buildings all over the place, but if you're a smaller company, if you have your workforce distributed in different parts of the world, or if you just want to have a trade show for your employees only, and they could call it the Intel Sales and Marketing Conference, for example. So all sales and marketing people from Intel who are located all over the place would converge on they would stay at the Palazzo and Venetian, but I think they would converge at the Wynn or the Encore, I think, and they would have a little conference of their own, show off the latest products, do some trainings and so on, and then send them back where they came from. That is something we could do here. In fact, we kind of do. Coming together in Vegas makes sense and does not gentrify the area with relocation. You don't have to move here to watch a Formula One race nor a Raiders game. You can come and visit and then go back home. Well, if you come here, you might be watching a Raiders game, but you might be here for the other team. But you get the point. You don't have to move here. You don't have to gentrify the area. You can take advantage of all the economy of fun has to offer. You can bolster our hospitality and service industry folks and the need for those employees to continue being employed. We won't need to price them out of living here. You can witness the scene in Austin as an example of that happening. So we can take maximal advantage of what Vegas is really good at, which is hosting visitors, approximately 40 million per year. It is often said that there really can only be one Silicon Valley. And having spent, for myself, 1993 to 2013 there, with a break between 2001 and 2005 when I went back to Phoenix during the dot-com bust and then the ensuing post 9/11 dramatic slowdown in everything. Working for many tech companies myself, I did that, and starting one or two of my own, I can say that Vegas is not going to be Silicon Valley, ever. It can and should be a better Vegas, though, and that is where I focus my energies, and I wish they would focus theirs. And to Bo Bernard's credit, while I do not agree with many of the things he has mentioned or published or talked about, I cannot say I'm in lockstep agreement, but I do agree that focusing on the economy of fun, going so far as to spend the time and money to get a trademark on fun economy itself, and to push on what is almost certainly the most recognizable aspect of any economy in the greater Vegas region, makes sense. That's fine. And they should continue to do that. So leveraging that rather than trying to compete with it with a next Silicon Valley, we're going to be full of unicorns and overpaid software engineers. Hey, I'm one of those. Running around buying houses for cash and pricing people out and killing the fun economy for the sake of the ginormous risk that would be forming another Silicon Valley. You can look in the papers, you can check out the news. People are moving back to Silicon Valley. The AI train is driving not a high-speed rail, but the train of AI passes only through Silicon Valley and barely touches on the greater Vegas area. And even then, we'll have to see. There's basically TensorWave. We'll see how things unfold for them. So, yeah. Compute efficiency will ideally make the need for giant compute centers that draw tremendous amounts of energy and require a lot of cooling. Those should go away, honestly. I know. Amazon products. Hollywood, speaking of, they're going to... Alexa Plus is coming soon. Hollywood 2.0, another... Let's take a name from some other place and make it Vegas. Now, I guess I should say, given that the Vegas Strip is adorned with a fake Eiffel Tower, a fake New York skyline with a fake Statue of Liberty, and a... several places named as though they're in Italy, but they're not. Maybe we should come to expect that. The tax credits and other incentives for various studio projects and plans are still a matter for our Nevada legislative bodies to consider, and of course the governor. After not quite getting through the last session, even though Mark Wahlberg was really lobbying, using all of his celebrity to do so, Mark Wahlberg is still a proponent. He does live in Summerlin with his family, although he's selling properties and not sure if he still lives there for the long term or who knows. I don't really spend a lot of time watching celebrities here in Vegas. He's still a proponent, and there are 2 studio construction projects that I've seen updated recently in some state of progress. One at the Tech Park, which is where Blackfire is, which is, let's face it, it's very near IKEA. If you're in the Vegas area, you might know where that is. Another in the Summerlin area, with the bigger players maybe committed, maybe not. I think Warner Brothers may or may not be continuing their involvement. I think Sony Pictures. Yeah, we'll see. It's too early. It's too early to spend much time on pondering this. That means me, I focus more on the resources that we can use for our entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem, not speculation on movie production and studio construction and gentrification that will follow. It will be more interesting if these big plans come to fruition, though if the tax credits do get signed into law, we may begin to see any early gentrification effects as studio we may begin to see, if I read that with a different tone, I guess we may begin to see any early gentrification effects as studio plans actually come together in a post-credits scene. See what I did there? It took a while. It took a while to get there. I appreciate you hanging on. Post-credits, tax credits, credits at the end of a movie. Okay, are we back? So if we do begin to see like preparatory people moving to town, people buying some homes generally near the studio, if the one in Summerlin, almost certainly. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. My concerns based on what I've read, and again, I'm not tracking this too closely because it seems like it's a little shaky, but also nothing's really committed. So shaky, yes, but also what is it really going to mean? We'll find out. The legislation, my two concerns, the legislation of production schedules. So part of what I read for one of the bills that has been proposed was the number of productions in state per time interval. So I think it said something like they have to produce 2 movies per 18 months or something. So I think it's tricky to legislate movie production schedules. I don't know what the exact wording is, but it just seems like something I would look into more. Though I am most concerned with the state doing something similar with tax credits as they did with some Tesla battery business a few years ago, which may divert money from other important things like education. It is too early to really ponder this from the outside if you are the new Clark County School District Superintendent, which she just got voted in. I think it's, I don't know what her pronouns are, but I'm going to assume she, maybe I'm wrong, got voted in on, I think Wednesday this week. Let me look just to make sure. I don't want to be doing something bad here. CSD Superintendent, if I could spell, Jhone Ebert. Joan Ebert? Okay. Joan Ebert, new superintendent. So, district superintendent, Clark County School District. So I'll say she. She must be concerned about this. But the Department of Education is deprecated. That'll be exciting. I didn't really do much research on this, but the Department of Education was formed, I believe it was during the Carter administration. So it's not like the DOE was created with the Constitution, right? It's not necessarily an ancient organization, but it has done some interesting things, some good, some bad. I don't want to get too much into this because I really didn't research it too much, but the DOE has been there for some funding, student loan oversight and whatnot, but also I think it was during the Bush 43 era, came up with the No Child Left Behind concept, which I believe has done a huge disservice to the educational outcomes in the Southern Nevada area based on my observations. But the Department of Education will eventually be shut down if Congress does approve that. So I guess that'll happen in the next 2 years. There are already concerns about the funding impact for Nevada education to the tune of about $1 billion. I saw $1.1 billion, the number thrown around. This on top of other program cuts from at the federal level, agency cuts, reductions in force, actual defunding of things that will reduce funding in other areas in Nevada, not education, but in other areas also, and as well in other states. So it's not Nevada only. An educated workforce is going to be essential into the future. It already is, but Nevada, Southern Nevada in particular, does not always come out in the upper parts of survey result rankings. And while post-pandemic statistics for our students across the country are not necessarily great, especially for reading and mathematics, Nevada is not bucking this trend. Math and reading will figure prominently in any notions of cultivation of a local innovation culture. An educated population in general will find it easier to pursue their own endeavors along the lines of entrepreneurial innovation. And that's what we're into here. If we believe that this will be the next Silicon Valley, and again, count me out on that one because it will not. If we continue to believe that there's a viable ecosystem in the making here, that one I'm on board with, education really needs our full attention. It really should be taken much more seriously than it has been. And even if there has been more focused attention on who's running the show, who's the superintendent, who's on the board of the school districts, There have been some crimes committed on different campuses, so I guess getting those taken care of is good. But, are the students really learning, and what's going on here? Education really needs our full attention. An all hands on deck situation when you really think about it, even if you don't have any kids yourself, and I'm on board there too, they are the future if those song lyrics are to be believed. If you have an intelligent population, if you have a population that's motivated to be entrepreneurial and to be innovative, or both, you will eventually end up with highly successful outcomes. You'll have people that are motivated and capable of starting new businesses, of being innovative in what they pursue and turning that into actual positive outcomes. Unfortunately, and this is based on my firsthand experience and some other things I've read and witnessed, the Southern Nevada education system in particular has been overly focused on training an employee workforce that is aimed at, drum roll please, the fun economy, trademark. So if you want to, and I had this very conversation, production by street, if you heard that motorcycle, I've had this conversation with people at the UNLV Engineering College, for example. It's difficult to get people to complete an education curriculum in engineering at UNLV when they can go down the street and make six figures as a valet. So that's very short-term thinking, but getting people to commit to at least a bachelor's degree, but to higher education, postgraduate perhaps, excuse me, it can be tricky. If we have a culture of innovation, if we have the mindset in place that education is not necessarily for everyone, I'm not saying it's a requirement, but why go to college? I can just become a bartender, or I can just become a valet. Well, okay then. I'll let you sort that out yourself. Think about it. So all of this is important, perhaps, for we, the entrepreneurs. If you, like me, are pursuing a startup adventure, if you're an entrepreneur, an innovator, maybe an entrepreneurial innovator, those sorts of things matter. More things matter as well, but these things I've mentioned today, and which I've mentioned across many episodes, different aspects of different things, they all matter. If you are doing something that it will depend on an educated workforce, or if you are doing something that is off the beaten path and not related to the economy of fun, you should be wondering if Greater Vegas is going to be the best place in the long term, or even in the near term, for what you're trying to accomplish. No, not saying that startups cannot exist in Vegas, nor that pure tech startups, for example, cannot flourish here. They can. However, we should always be aware of the terrain on which we are trying to make our efforts succeed. If tax cuts on one industry are going to negatively impact education resources, if the focus on the economy of fun over a more level playing field could do things like what the Formula One race focus does to small businesses, for example. Over-reliance on the fun economy, trademark, and over-attention paid in that regard may have detrimental effects on any sort of small business, startups or otherwise, that are not benefiting from these efforts. They may actually be to your detriment. So it's something to be aware of, that the focus is most definitely on the economy of fun. The rest, we'll see. This is one reason that I am such a strong proponent of the innovation destination approach, and also a proponent of leaning into the economy of fun, not to mention more traditional entrepreneurial endeavors that are human-facing to take advantage of the visitor and local populations as potential customers, rather than diving in on tech or bio where the focus is not fully matured. So if you are pursuing the tech scene or the even younger and less mature bio and bio research scene here in Vegas, you may be in for some challenges, whether it's finding workforce, or if you have people trying to move here, you may be contributing to the gentrification effects. You may find it more difficult to convince people to move here. That was a common thread many years ago. We'll see if things have changed. If I move to Vegas to work for your company and then I have to change companies, where would I work? So we'll see. We'll see what the job market turns into. We'll see what the terrain looks like for the startup scene and the bio scene and the tech. Will Vegas be an innovation hub or an innovation destination? And I will leave you with this. An innovation hub implies relocation. In fact, the LVGEA, the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, will help companies that are over $10 million in either valuation or revenues or whatever. They will help bigger companies relocate or at least establish a presence in the greater Vegas area, which may mean importing talent. If they cannot hire locally, they'll have to bring people from other places. If you bring people from the old Silicon Valley to the new Silicon Valley, I will tell you from experience, because remember, I was there, selling your house in Silicon Valley and buying one in Vegas would be a cash transaction. Buying homes for cash will drive the prices of homes up. We're about to see a decline in the housing market in the very near term, in the next year or two, if there's a recession or if the other indicators that suggest this come to pass. So housing prices might come down, which will encourage more cash purchases, whether speculation, second homes, etc. So it's going to be an interesting time for housing in the Vegas area in general. It's already been up in the post-pandemic timeframe, making it somewhat of a challenge for those in the service industry, part of the fun economy, the enablers of said economy, to actually live here. Rents are also elevated. So an innovation destination approach invites people to visit as they already do. Rather than moving here, you can visit, bring your team to Vegas, spend the week, bring their families, enjoy the fun economy. Go check out Area 15, go check out some of the malls. There seem to be malls sprouting up with each resort now. Visit any number of a billion restaurants, get ice cream or coffee or cake. I'm sure there's a Dubai chocolate bar variation to suit your needs. They seem to be sprouting up everywhere. There's something here for everyone. And then go back home because we don't have as much water. Now, if you're going to do something in water conservation, Vegas might be your spot. But other than that, I don't know. I just don't know. And this is something that we can talk about continuously, well, discreetly, on each episode of this audio program. And if we can get the next gen roundtable up and running, it's something I hope that we can attack with our communities of practice at the Genius Roundtable. And that's where I'll leave it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As always, do check out buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo, the Buy Me an Update published every Monday. And that's it. Take care.